Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Movie Battleground. We have two great competitors and a great match coming up tonight, so we'll dive right into it. I will start off by introducing our two great fighters tonight. First, coming in with a record of 0 wins and 1 loss, it is the Canadian Joker, Eros. Am I pronouncing it right?
Yeah, you're pronouncing it right.
All right, how you doing today, Eros?
I'm doing pretty good.
How you feel about your match tonight?
Well, I'm feeling excited. I mean, we had some pretty cool questions and everything. And I mean, it's my second time around. I guess second time could be the charm.
Fantastic. And his opponent, if you've been paying attention on the movie trivia social media landscape, you see this guy's been making some waves. And tonight he's going for his first win in Battleground, coming in with a record of 0 wins and 1 loss. It is Doug, the Irishman Cassel. Doug, how are you doing tonight?
I'm feeling good. I'm ready to see what we can do. I'm hoping to turn everything around. Hopefully with a little bit more than 24 hours prep, I can maybe pull out this win.
All right, well, let's see what happens. And assisting me today, I have two fantastic judges. First, joining us from New Zealand, it's the lovely and talented Malcolm the Crusher. Malcolm, how are you doing tonight? How do you feel about this fantastic match we have going on today?
It's definitely going to be interesting to see, because both these peoples are hungry for a win, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they do with the questions, sort of how they debate. There's definitely one question I'm definitely looking forward to hearing, but...
All right, we're going to get to that soon. And my second judge and partner tonight. You know him, you love him. It's Jay, the Arsonist Burns. Jay, tell me what's going on.
Oh, not a whole lot. I know one of these people can be a blowhard, and the other, well, doesn't talk all that much. I can't wait to see what they can do. One of them can barely form a sentence when we're talking about Game of Thrones over on advertisements, and the other one actually put up a pretty decent fight the first time he was in a match. So I'm excited to see what we got going on.
All right, guys, we'll get started here in a second. Go over the rules. You're going to have 3 rounds, 3 debatable questions. In each round, you're going to have 90 seconds to start, give your opening arguments. You'll have a 5-minute general battle round, and then at the end of that, you will each have 60 seconds to close. You both have the option for 1 round to extend the 5-minute period to 6 minutes. If you choose to do that, just let me know before the time begins. Doug, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm good. Let's go.
All right, Eros, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's fight it out. Round 1, question 1. What 2000s film in the decade from 2000 to 2009 would have been a better fit in a different decade? And Doug, we'll start with you. All right, whenever you're ready, Doug, you have 90 seconds.
All right, so I decided to go a little outside the box thinking and pick a movie that I feel if it was brought to the modern age, we'd be able to enjoy it a little bit more considering the last couple of films that this director put out. I decided to bring Big Fish, which in my opinion, which I'm fighting for, Big Fish is one of Tim Burton's best movies as not being so dark and gritty. It's a joyful movie, even with the ending as sorrowful as it is. It brings this levity to it. It brings you the ability to know you're at peace. And something that we don't have right now a lot of is peace. We don't have a lot of, happiness or joyfulness in the world, and I think right now that's something that we need. So my choice is Big Fish, bringing it to the present day.
All right. Present day, so 2010s. Okay, and Eros, and whenever you're ready, 90 seconds.
Okay, so my choice is basically a cult classic for people from Quebec, for French Canadians mostly. It's a story about that takes place in the 1980s. In the 80s. Sorry. It's called Crazy. by Jean-Marc Lavallée, the guy who brought Dallas Buyers Club and future good films. That was one of his most recent, one of his first projects, and it was mostly love letter to what happened in the 80s here in Quebec, which was unknown to many people. And I really think it could fit perfectly in a different decade, since that film really opened up the mind to people about what happened in the past times in Quebec.
Okay. And Eros, are you giving us a specific decade that you're going to move your movie to?
Oh yeah, sorry. It's the film's in 2005, and I'm gonna move it to like the 90s, to the start of the 90s. Yeah.
All right. Okay then, gentlemen. Whenever you're ready, you can begin your 5-minute battle. Big Fish versus Crazy.
Okay, so I guess I'll speak first. So you want to bring a movie that is basically a 1980s movie with little splashes of the 60s, but you want to bring it to a decade later. You would probably want to be changing that a little bit, in my opinion. Granted, Big Fish has this ability to kind of transcend the whole time. Ash, you could still do the same things in the 60s and the 70s and bring it to present day. With you doing that, it doesn't give enough time for it to sit. If it's in the 2000s, it had enough time for it to breathe, so you could see the emotional reaction that you needed to have with that film. You could bring other generations into that film. What Big Fish does is it gives the opportunity for us to have another great Tim Burton movie in the modern age.
Yeah, but I mean, the point is, Crazy is basically like an homage to everything that happened before, and they tried to show it to us like 25 years later, because most people know that Quebec we always had money problems. We couldn't finance our films, and I think that film got released later on because it didn't have the initial budget it needed, but the story was needed in the 90s, because that story was so important. It explained everything that happened in Quebec, everything that, kind of everyone wants to let it go, but we shouldn't, because that was important, and trying to show it to the whole world how we were one of the last region of the whole Canada to actually be like less homophobic and more open to pretty much everything, all of that stopped, and like we just kept putting away, saying okay, nothing happened. But that film, it showed it all, and I think that waiting 15 more years, in 15 more years, many people die, and like many people are going to miss that film, and that film was so important, and it made people like cry themselves and everything. It was such an important film, and I think releasing it more later was actually a mistake compared to Big Fish.
I counter your argument to releasing it later. There's a movie known as Miracle. It happened in the 1980s. They released that in the 2000s. The reason that it had such a impact was because it was a different generation seeing what that generation was going through. Sorry, you can continue against Big Fish now.
It's all right. Well, I mean, for Big Fish, I think it actually is a film that is decent, exactly where it's placed. Like, we all know that Tim Burton has had a downfall with films like Planet of the Apes and Alice in Wonderland and everything. And I mean, from Planet of the Apes, 2 years later, we get Big Fish. I mean, from a terrible Tim Burton film, when he succeeded in many films, we get an actual decent film that brings back the terrible Planet of the Apes. And that film is just exactly the center of like, oh, maybe he's back now. And then after we get closer, like better films and everything, and then it falls down again. But if we move it to the 2090s, 2010s, it's where pretty much everyone doesn't care about Tim Burton anymore. He made such terrible films like Alice in Wonderland and films that weren't received well.
And that's my exact point. My exact point is that if you were to bring that film to the present day, yes, you would have a couple of bad films, but at the same time, then you could get back to that eye that Tim Burton had.
90 seconds.
Mysticism of his storytelling. The reason that I believe that this, not necessarily for Tim Burton's sake, but the reason that I believe that this story needs to be told in a modern day age is because we don't have a story like this being told. We don't have something positive and uplifting, a story like that being told right now to get people to understand the levity of death, but understand that the joyfulness that can come from letting someone go.
But in 2010, exactly, the 2000 had a strange vibe, and the 2010 bring back cinematography, sound, editing, everything. The indie became more powerful in 2010, and this film felt more like an indie.
But you're talking
compared to the
about
other
taking
one,
a movie. You're talking about taking a movie that's a historical movie and moving it from a generation that might not have known things about that, and taking to a generation that already knows what's going on. You're literally essentially destroying something. I may be adding something. You're destroying something that a generation that doesn't know, that maybe not be stuck in, that aren't stuck in a history book, that need to know this.
I'm not big. I mean, Big Fish is perfect in this timeline, since in that timeline it's different. It's brand new. But if you put it in 2010, it's an original concept that you see every day. Since indie movies always have that kind of a plot line, something sad, something deep, and it has always brighter cinematography, better sounds. And I mean, putting it in 2010 is really a hitch, and it won't work for the film well, especially with Tim Burton's new
That's
reputation.
time, gentlemen. That's 5 minutes. And so we need to decide which movie fits better in which decade. Doug, you started this out. Eros, why don't you give us your 60-second closing whenever you're ready?
Crazy, I think, just like I said, it's a really, really hardcore film, and it had so many impacts on the Quebec culture, and I think that waiting 15 years to release it was a bit of a hitch. And if we had the budget and everything, the film on its own felt exactly like it could have been made in the 90s or in the 2000s, and we wouldn't really matter, because the whole effect was already there, and the whole tension, it could have been made any day. Jean-Marc Lavallée always had that idea, and we can actually see it from his whole mind, and that film would have worked perfectly like 10 years sooner than got released, and it would have been a way more major problem, and would have given Jean-Marc Lavallée even more open doors than he has right now, and would have boosted his career. While Tim Burton, if he would have released it 10 years later, would have still been a downfall and couldn't get back at Hollywood.
All right. Doug, whenever you're ready, go ahead and start your 60 seconds.
Okay, so I hear in his argument not too much fighting why it needs to be pushed back. Ultimately will destroy the basis of what that film's about. It's about bringing knowledge to other generations and other people. You have more of an audience sitting at where it is rather than the 90s. I'm sorry. That will destroy that movie. It will never be seen. That is going to destroy the movie. Big Fish, however, on the other hand, is something that could bring people out of a funk. You're talking about people that are clinically depressed, that have suicidal tendencies, that have all these different mental issues going on with their lives right now, with a little levity, and showing you that life is bigger than the picture that is in front of you right now. If you believe, you have the ability to do something great with your life.
And time. 60 seconds. All right, 2 great closing arguments. Now we're going to go to our judges, and we'll start out just the way I'm looking at you down my screen, and that means, Jay, you go first. Help sort this out.
So both of these guys kind of stuck to why their movie was good, but not necessarily why it would be better if it moved up or back, forward or back in decades. I heard more from Doug about what it would bring to an audience who doesn't have a lot of hope, who doesn't have, this feeling of peace, than I did from Eros. I heard a lot about what Eros's movie is, but not enough for me to give him my point. My point would go to Doug on this one. I think they both could have argued a little bit better about the actual question itself, not just why their movie was good. But that's where I'm at.
That's 1 point for Doug, or 1 vote for Doug, I should say. Malcolm, we'll go to you next. Where you stand on this?
With that, I think Eros kind of went off track with the way the question was worded a little bit. I mean, both of them did kind of veer off, because they did talk more about the movies in the actual question. But I heard more. I agree with Jay. I heard more from Doug about why Big Fish deserves to be in this decade, because like there is a lot of need for it, and his last sentence in the closing statement pretty much clinched it for me.
All right, that's 2 votes for Doug, so the point will go to Doug on question number 1, but that's all right because Eros has a chance to get back into it here with question number 2. Question number 2. Since Star Wars is getting its own theme park, what other movie franchise should get a theme park of its own? And Eros, this time we'll start out with you. You have 90 seconds for your opening statement.
So just like my Hangout profile picture, I choose the Evil Dead franchise. It's honestly one of my favorite franchises ever, and why I choose it to be to make a new attraction park is mostly because it's a whole universe mix of bright stuff, funny stuff, and mostly horror and and exaggerated horror, gore, and everything. And I think it would fit perfectly as of a child's theme park as some way because of the horror and the over splashing blood and everything, and it would fit as a theme park for adults because since it's actually a horror franchise, would fit for both, and it would be interesting for both since we don't actually have that much franchises horror theme parks. So I think that would be something new and would bring something rich and something interesting, and it would drag people to them, especially since Evil Dead has a pretty huge fan base in the horror community.
Okay, Evil Dead the theme park. Doug, how are you going to counter that? You have 90 seconds to open.
So I want to pitch you this. I want to pitch you, imagine waking up. And you know what a really big thing is? A big thing is medieval times nowadays. Imagine being fully engulfed in the world of the Lord of the Rings. Imagine waking up in the Shire. And granted, I understand New Zealand, it's fun to visit. I'm not talking about just visiting these beautiful landscapes. I'm talking about being fully immersed into this world. I'm imagining Harry Potter world, Star Wars world, Disney world combined into this one massive land where you can go and be your own hero. You can go and ride along with the stories. You can sit in the same places that the hobbits sat in. You can sit where the fellowship became one. You can sit and conquer Mount Doom. You can go ahead and show the world that you are a hero, or even show that you're a little bit of a villain and join the orcs and show them what it is to mean to be a warrior. So my world, my place, my immersion is Lord of the Rings.
All right. 2 places would be very interesting to visit, both very different places. But now I'm going to give you, as soon as I reset my timer here, you guys have 5 minutes to fight out which one of these theme parks would be better. Whenever you guys are ready, go ahead.
I mean, you talked about medieval time. We got it. I mean, we have Army of the Darkness. I mean, it's a different medieval time, but it would be a funnier and cooler medieval time since we're talking about a theme park. It's supposed to bring fun to people. It could be beautiful, but I mean, the whole point is having fun. Giving adrenaline, having roller coasters, having big giant heads. Getting thrown at you in dark passages with the roller coaster, and having the max adrenaline and everything. And I think Evil Dead, I mean, it has a big, impact since all the 3 movies. I mean, the 4 are all pretty much different, and they would all bring something new to the roller coasters and the whole land.
I agree with you. Evil Dead would be a cool theme park, or actually maybe more of an addition to a theme park, maybe like a Universal, because here's the thing, your theme park is very one-dimensional. You may talk about how multi-dimensional this is. It has 4 movies, it's great, it's still horror. So all that's going to do is attract basically people that are attracted to horror. And that's fine. That's great. That's not what a business is going to build upon. You want to know what a business is going to build upon? They're going to build upon a franchise that won an Oscar. They're going to build upon, not one, sorry, 11 Oscars. They're going to build upon a franchise where you can fully immerse yourself into this world. I'm sorry, you're going to have to suspend so much disbelief to be a part of the Evil Dead world. Zombies, you automatically know they're not real. You could go to a part of Lord of the Rings and deal with people that are just humans, and it's just like you're engulfed in medieval times. Or you can choose to live out that fantasy life and go adventure with the hobbits. You want to talk about a roller coaster? What about a roller coaster on Mount Doom? What about a free-falling, like your golem falling down into the lava? What if you were, that's so adventurous. What if you had an adventure ride where you flew on the eagles?
I mean, you talked about me just horror. It's not just horror, just like I said. It's many things. Evil Dead has way much more than Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is stuck in medieval time. Evil Dead, imagine the character. It's one of the most iconic character. Bruce Campbell playing Ash Williams. Ash Williams is an icon while being funny, and he's known as a hero person. Like, I mean, his chainsaw, when he holds it on the top of a hill, I mean, that could be the entrance to a fucking roller coaster, and that would be so amazing. I mean, he looks like a hero. It's basically like everyone loved Aquaman. Why? Because it was freaking ridiculous. And imagine now a roller coaster with a guy who's actually the standout. He's hanging a chainsaw and he's saying some magic word, bringing all evil entities, and he's attacking them. And you could just make so much. And I mean, at Halloween, you can make, basically roller coasters. They succeed in the Halloween and holidays. I mean, in Halloween, imagine if everyone's dressed as the army and they just make like a play when the whole universe, they match it together in real life. It would go crazy. Everyone would go nuts. And
okay, so I understand. So I understand that, and I perfectly understand the fact that you're talking about that Ash would make a great attraction. Yes, he would. He would make a great attraction. He would make a hell of a roller coaster. He'd be funny, but it's still a horror movie. It can be horror comedy at times. It's a horror movie. My franchise is a fantasy, which means you are not just going after the Lord of the Rings fan. You're going after anybody that wants to live in that world. You're going after anybody that wants to live in that world.
Just like I said, it's not horror. You keep bringing back the fact that it's horror. It has an installment that's basically not horror. It's just horror because it's fantasy. The fantasy of the fact with skeletons. I mean, it's a funny movie. I mean, if it is fantasy, you have Merlin spelling spells, everything. You have King Arthur. They all bring historical events and they bring together in a maybe horror way, since we have skeletons and everything, but they lose the touch. They go more funny, more fantasy, way more. It's like a superhero movie.
It's still a horror movie. It's classified as a horror movie. I'm sorry. It's classified as a horror movie. So you will, like I said, you will get people that will want to do with this horror. They want to deal with that.
Well, but I can use the fact that it's a horror movie.
Mine literally would be picked up. My pick would be picked up by production.
In a theme park, you need a haunted house. You need a haunted house, and Evil Dead would have it so much.
You need a haunted house. Money. You have to be able to
make money. And that's 5 minutes, gentlemen. 5 minutes. All right, I like how we're getting into it here. It's getting heated. All right. So we're going to wrap this up with our closing arguments. And Doug, you're going to start us off whenever you are ready. Give us your 60-second closing.
So plain and simple, the Lord of the Rings, the reason why you would want this as a theme park, not only because the ability to immerse people, not only because the ability to make your product available to the masses, not just one core group of people. You'd be able to make it popular to the masses. While you may not have been a fan of the films, you will damn sure be a fan of this theme park. The reason that people open theme parks are to make money. Evil Dead is a niche. It is a niche park during Halloween time. Sure, it would be great. It would be great in a universal horror thing, but it's not going to be great as a theme park. I can see the rest of my time.
All right. Okay. Eros, you have 60 seconds to convince us. Your final arguments on the Evil Dead theme park. Whenever you're ready.
Basically, Evil Dead, the films were known because of their practical effects. So as of a big giant team attraction park, I mean, it would be perfect. You have all those practical effects coming at you. It would be fantastic for cinephiles. They could learn everything's practical, and it's just like in the film. For fans, it would be amazing. For horror fans, it would be amazing. For fantasy fans, it would be amazing. I mean, you want a haunted house? We got it, and we're gonna have the best one you're ever gonna see. So we all know that teenagers. You talked about money. Teenagers are always looking for haunted houses. We don't have that money, and with Evil Dead haunted house would be freaking crazy. People would learn more about it. They would share it more. It would grow an impact, and I mean, it has
10 seconds.
I mean, it has Ash Williams, who would be the biggest icon. I mean, Hell to the fucking King. The vocals coming out of the speakers and everything. The quotes from the film would be so amazing.
All right. Let's take it to the judges. And Malcolm is somebody who might know a thing or two about living among Lord of the Rings. Why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I mean, this is one that when this was come up in the group chat, I jokingly said with Doug, was like, well, there was already a Lord of the Rings team. That's called Living in New Zealand. But yeah, based on the arguments, though, I think Douglas gave more about why Lord of the Rings would make a great theme park than what Eros did. Like, Eros kind of went on a bit of a cycle where he kept on talking about how Evil Dead has horror and has more elements. He seemed to go in that cycle a few times. It just got repetitive. Like Doug even hammered home that like Evil Dead is would only really suit a niche market. It's like because from what I understand, like Evil Dead is not a very it's a cult kind of following kind of franchise. So there's only going to be so many people that's going to want to go there. There's going to be a lot more that's going to want to go to Lord of the Rings. Is kind of what I understood from his argument, and so I think Doug gets the point on this.
All right, that's one vote for Doug. And I'll go next. And I'll say this, Eros really intrigued me with the idea of an Evil Dead theme park. I think there's a lot of potential there. But I just didn't get enough detail where Doug was giving me, he gave me rides, he gave me attractions, he gave me the feel of the whole thing. Eros was hitting points of the movie, it's comedy, it's horror, it's fantasy, but I didn't get enough there of how that was going to actually translate literally into a theme park. So my vote is going to go to Doug as well. So that's the point to Doug, and the score now is Doug 2, Eros nothing. But Eros, you'll have a chance to come back here with question number 3. This one, Doug's fighting for the knockout, and Eros is fighting to move on to the speed round. So, moving on to question number 3. Gentlemen, if you were getting married, what movie character would you want as your best man? And Doug, you're going to start us off here. I just got to get my timer ready. And whenever you're ready, you can give us your 90-second opening argument here.
Okay, so you want to know who I'd pick as a best man. It's kind of simple for me. When it comes to best men, you want somebody who's going to be there for you, who's going to help you out afterwards. Believe it or not, they're going to push you forward towards things. They're going to make you understand yourself. They're going to make sure that you get to that altar. And that is Sidney Fife from I Love You, Man. Now, that man, he may have looked like a fuck up throughout the entire movie, but that man had a plan, a clear-cut plan to get you to that altar, to be your best friend, to do things for you that you didn't think about, to help you sell loot for Ragno's house. That's what that man did. He is there for you, which is what a best man is supposed to be. He's supposed to be there for you on your biggest day to make sure you walk down that aisle. While he wasn't there, he still made sure it happened. He made sure that there was a lively group of groomsmen that, let me tell you, it's fun. I honestly had fun with this movie, and I think that Sidney Fife makes the best man, because the fact is that it's not just the wedding he's worried about. He's worried about you.
All right, Sidney Fife is Doug's best man. Eros, tell us who your best man is. You have 60 seconds to open, or I'm sorry, 90 seconds to make your opening statement.
My best man is an icon. I mean, I want someone who has been through worse, so he can actually, he could actually choose his friend in a more in a different way, in like something more important. He can give more value to that person because he's been through so much, and that man he's actually hilarious. Also, he's so fun. Everyone likes him, and everyone ends up liking him if they don't like him because he's so charming. He's actually the best, and he's just everything. And that person is Ash Williams from the Evil Dead franchise. I mean, he's been known as an icon for many things, and I think that having him at my marriage would be like a dream. It would be better than having a celebrity at my marriage. First, he would be my best friend. He would be there to help me, and he would bring so much to my marriage since he's the coolest person ever.
All right, so we have Sidney Fife versus Ash from Evil Dead in the battle of the best men. 5 minutes, gentlemen, whenever you're ready. Fight it out.
Okay, so here's the thing. You get Ash from Evil Dead to come. Guess what else is coming with him? The evil. Your entire wedding is ruined. The day that's supposed to be happiest for you and your wife is now ruined because you have to now fight an onslaught of zombies.
It is totally not.
It totally is because he was in a department store where he got transported back. I'm sorry, it's completely is that he is nothing but worse luck. In his TV series, they find him still.
It's a movie battle. We can't talk. I'm based upon the movies. I'm not based upon the TV series. I'm based upon the movies.
That character still existed in the TV series.
I know.
He's eligible, which means the Evil Dead still come and find you, and your wedding's ruined. Where on the other hand, where my character comes into play, yes, he may have not been standing down right by my side at the beginning, but he sure enough made sure I was there. He made me think about life choices. He made me pursue something that I didn't think I could pursue. He made me do things that I didn't want to do. He started a band with me. I'm just envisioning that this would be me because I am kind of like Paul Rudd's character. I have way too many girlfriends and not enough guy friends. So for me, that's what it is. It's somebody that shows you that you can be an alpha when you're not an alpha. It shows you that you are strong for who you are, and he lets you be that. He shows you that. That's what a best man is. It's someone that makes sure your day goes off without a hitch. It makes sure that you're happy and that you show up to that idol, which he would do.
Ash would do even more. Ash would do everything for you. I mean, he's like I told you, he's a superhero. He's everything. He would do anything just for a girl he falls in love, or he thinks she's pretty. Imagine me. I'm his best friend. He would do everything for me, and he wouldn't do it in a typical way to make me lose my shit. No, he would make it in an awesome way to make not only me speculate, but everyone. He's an attraction, and having him as my best man would not only bring my marriage to like the most epic thing ever, because I personally don't want a marriage all fancy and all. I want something big. I want something fun. I want something I will remember. I want someone who's gonna maybe sit by my side at the end of the marriage and tell me everything's okay, because my marriage is not gonna be just, oh wow, it just happened so fast. No, it's gonna be fucking amazing. It's gonna have Ash. He's gonna have made tricks with his chainsaw. He's gonna shake my hand. I'm gonna be like the coolest guy around. I mean, I'm gonna have my wife and everything. I'm gonna have my best friend, and I'm just gonna have the time of my life, and I will remember it. That's what I want for my marriage. I want to remember it.
Okay, I completely understand that. But who says your wedding's gonna happen now? If Ash comes 90% of the time, you have a 10% chance. I'll give you that. You have a 10% chance that nothing's going to happen. But 90% of the time, something evil happens. I'm not talking about zombies. Something evil happens. How do you know that your wife doesn't turn evil and tries to kill you at that point? Because she tries to get, possessed. Where on my hand, okay, so I have a fancy wedding that I'm perfectly okay with, because that starts off my life with the person that I love. And if a person makes sure that that happens, they are my best man. They are my best friend. And that's what Sidney Fife stands for. He stands for this. It's not
90
that
seconds.
it's a cool attraction. It's not about the attraction. It's about what does that person do for you and what would he do for you?
No.
Sure. Ash would most definitely protect you if the evil happened. But then are you so certain that your wedding's going to happen?
It's going to happen for sure. I mean, there's no way like bringing the evil and everything. There's not going to be that. Most of the time, there's nothing that's going to happen. And in this case, there will nothing that really happen. Ash won't allow it. I mean, it's not that he won't control and everything. There won't be evils. I mean, evils are only there like when he goes most of the time chasing it. You're using this TV series, but it's not the TV series. We're in you can just take Army of the Darkness. Most of the time, he went through them to get to them. I mean, I'm not talking about the TV series. I'm talking about the movie, since the group is a movie Battleground. And Ash goes looking for evil. I mean, it's not the evil that's
30 seconds.
coming. It's
My
literally
question is, why does he go looking for evil? Because his girlfriend.
because he tries
attracts
to
evil.
because he would give everything to someone he loves. Which
Because
in
he
this case,
attracts the
my
evil.
best man, he would give me everything so I can have the most fun of so I would have the fun of my life, so I would have everything I want. He would do that. He would do anything. He would kill a fucking army to make me happy. That's what Hash is. He cares about people. He may not show it in the TV series, which we're not going to talk because I said I'm not going to talk about
time.
people.
That's your 5 minutes, gentlemen. All right, so who's going to have the best wedding day? Whose wedding day is going to go off without a hitch because of their best man? We're going to do closing arguments now. And Eros, will start with you. 60 seconds. Convince me why Ash is the best man.
I'm not Hispanic, but I think that Hispanic parties are the best because they have fun. I mean, marriage is yes, you get to be with your girl and you make sermons and everything. But I don't want a normal typical wedding. I want something big. I want something I will remember. Ash, he would be that element. He would be my best friend. He would pull up with a chainsaw hand. Who will ever get the chance to see that? I will have the best marriage ever. My videotape, I could rewatch it 10 times. I won't just feel like my wife's gonna want to show me the video. I won't be like, fuck, I don't want to watch it that much. I mean, it was a cool thing and everything. No, I'm gonna be thrilled. It's gonna be like a movie. I'm with Ash Williams, the guy with a chainsaw, that guy that kills evil, the guy that brings fun to everyone, the classic, handsome, perfect American man. I'm gonna have the fun of my life during my wedding and afterwards, watching it on repeat. Hail to the king.
All right, pretty convincing argument. Let me get my clock reset for you here, Doug. And whenever you're ready, 60 seconds closing for Sidney Fife.
All right, before I close for 75 and tell you why he is the best man, I'm going to really counteract what he's saying. Even if we take the TV series out, the movies that you are bringing forward, the person that you're bringing forward will bring a curse to your wedding, which means your wife's probably not going to want you to marry her, okay? Let's say she survives it. Do you think she wants that around her? No. Here's what she wants around her. She wants a person that's going to support her husband. She wants a person that shows that she's there, not just for her husband, for everybody. He showed that blowjob scene when he basically is like, yeah, you suck his dick. If that scene didn't happen, then he'd get no more blowjobs. Benefits. If he didn't get the ability to get the billboards where he was trying off tuxedos and was like this and had the James Bond thing, it's the reasons that he meticulously thinks about, the reasons that he pushes forward to why
and
he
time.
wants it.
That's 60 seconds. All right, this is a tough one. I'm not gonna lie, and it's my turn to start off. So I'm still working this out in my head here, guys. I'll be honest with you, and I'll say this, that I definitely think Eros gets the degree of difficulty points because he was with a pretty unique choice, kind of out of left field, where Doug picked a character who was basically written and designed to be a best man. So I definitely think he had the easier road to hoe there. And I see what Eros said. Anything about having a memorable wedding, something they're going to want to relive over and over again. I'll agree with Eros here, since this is movie Battleground. We'll discount what happens on the TV show. We're talking about we're focused on the movies here. Doug just kept hitting over and over again about the dangers of having Ash around, and Eros did his best to counteract that. But I think there was a big knockout blow in the final arguments there. There's an old saying, guys. It's happy wife, happy life. And Doug made the comment, "What is your wife going to run around? What's going to make your wife happy?" And I had to agree with him there that having Ash around may be fun for Eros, but it's probably not going to be too much fun for his wife. So I am going to give my vote to Sydney Fife and Doug. Jay, what say you?
This was a little bit more on the difficult side. I heard more about why Ash would be a good best man and why it would make my wedding memorable, but I didn't hear any bashing of Sydney Fife as a best man. I didn't hear anything other than, I want him in my wedding because he would be my best friend. It would be awesome. I heard more from Doug about why Sydney Fife would be the best man, and he just continuously knocked Ash Williams. This is without a doubt my easiest choice. This argument was won hands down by Doug for me.
And your winner, by way of knockout with a score of 3-0, Doug the Irishman Cassel. Doug, we'll go right to you. You get your first win in Battleground. How are you feeling?
That was such a battle. Like, I know that the last one was an uphill battle for Ash, but like, dude, you brought it. Like, completely humbled. Like, I had to counteract everything that you were saying, like every argument, but you literally brought it, man. Like, nothing but seriously, thank you for battling me. Thank you for putting me through the work and showing me that my work and efforts and studying this stuff wasn't off kilter and wasn't wasted. Thank you.
All right. Humble in victory is Doug. Eros, you gave it a good shot, a valiant effort. Came up a little bit short. Our second place finisher today. Eros, how you feeling after this match?
Well, I want to point out that the fact that I haven't seen the film I Love You, Man, which is why I couldn't really bash on the character Sydney Five. So, I mean, yeah, I was basically trying to promote the fact that Ash was actually the best. And, like, I mean, I know why I lost, because, I mean, at the questions, when I heard the questions, I was already like, I'm going to lose this one, because I'm always going with the answers that, are the most relevant to me, even though they won't actually, give me the upper end during the contest. I just want to say what I want to say about the things I love. And the questions were really tricky because they didn't really revolve around things I could really, use towards my advantage. So I think that dragged me down. But I think that was a good match. I mean, Douglas really, I kept saying something. He just bashed it right away. And he just cut me. And I tried to find something else to say because he was always one step ahead, and I couldn't, give better arguments to, promote my point even more.
Sure.
He kept cutting me.
Yeah, you definitely you're fighting with your heart, not with your head. There's nothing wrong with that. We could all, I think, definitely sense your passion, and I think at some point that is going to end up paying off for you. And it was a great fight, both of you tonight. Let me go to my judges, get their opinions real quick. Malcolm, your final thoughts here.
Yeah, this was definitely a fun match to judge. And I mean, do I wish it got sudden death? Sure, but I mean, it's one of those things that, like, sometimes if you've got the right questions, you can pull out the argument. Like, even if you do battle with your heart and with something that you think relevant, you could find a way to use it and manage to win the argument by finding a way to sort of twist around and get in there. Just got to find your groove. Because I mean, like as someone who also has not done very well in movie Battleground, like you can pull out a win. Like if you just find the right place to slide in, then you can pull it off.
Sure. All right. Great advice from Malcolm and Jay. Take us out. Close this match up for us. What do you think?
This was definitely an improvement from Douglas's last match. Eros did a great job. You're right. He fought with his heart, not with his head, and sometimes that can be your downfall. He still did a great job. I don't take it the wrong way. Sometimes the questions just don't go in your favor. Sometimes you just get really good picks and you're able to counteract everything that's said about them or the lack of things that are said about them. I will give you a piece of advice right quick. Even if you've never watched the movie, hit a Wikipedia page up. This isn't movie trivia. You can pull up a Wikipedia page and look at it while you're in the middle of the argument. Or look at clips on YouTube. Just familiarize yourself with some of the other options and the answers that your opponents make. It'll help out a lot. I hope we see you back here, bud. Don't take the knockout as like, a personal thing. It was just sometimes arguments are handled better when information is known about both things.
Absolutely. Well, it's great advice from Jay and Eros. We do hope to see you back here. You got a lot of potential, and I think you could be a strong fighter someday. Doug, congratulations on your win. Glad to see you on the plus side. Malcolm, Jay, thank you for helping me out today, sorting out these battles. So for all my contestants, all my judges, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the fight. Go watch more movies. Have a great night.
Don't spoil Endgame, you dicks.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is, by the time this match comes out, Endgame would be well into it.
Oh yeah.
I don't care. Still don't spoil it for that kid in Canada with no fucking internet whatsoever.
Yeah. You want to take us out, Malcolm?
Yeah. I think